Hello, welcome to another Tuesday tune-up. My name's Eliza, and today we're going to be kind of decompressing from yesterday's intense Gemini full moon and taking some time to kind of see what wants to come next. I feel like there's a lot of shedding going on, and today starts the beginning of the Dancing in the Dark series that I'm offering on email and on a Facebook group. I'm sending out mixes to a whole group. I have like 118 people signed up, which is blowing my mind. So we're all dancing separately, safely in our own spaces, but kind of grooving together and connecting our energy. And I think that is so needed right now more than a lot of things. So I'm excited to tap in with you guys tonight. Grab a cup of tea and enjoy the opening music. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Kate. How's it going? Hi. All right. Today is the first day of Dancing in the Dark. Yeah, it's a fun version. It's like, at first I wasn't sure about it because I kind of wanted a little more energy, but it's cute and it makes me happy. So I'm glad that you like it too. I'm going to try to situate myself here. Ugh, okay, there we go. Got another hot toddy with me today, guys. Get ready for some fun tonight. So I was just doing some research on the Gemini full moon because this one snuck up on me. We had a full moon yesterday, and I honestly had no idea that it was coming until, of course, I tend to have PMS and then bleed with the full moon, so then I knew. But I was quite surprised at how perfectly I felt like it aligned with the energy of the Dancing in the Dark, because Gemini is the sign with the two twins, and so often it's about relating and relationship and communication. And what I was reading briefly on a couple like astrology blogs was mentioning that it's a perfect time to be really open-minded and to try new things and to also be social, but in a safe way, obviously right now because of COVID. So it's just been so fun today seeing posts people are sharing that they're dancing in their homes and feeling the energy, and it just makes me smile inside and out that we can have these little ripples that, you know, to me it's not that big of a deal, but it's affecting people and it's making them smile, and that's making my heart just so happy. So I'm feeling really positive with this moon, and today is kind of one of the first snows that we've had in our area since we got a strange snow in like early November, but it's beginning to look a lot like, you know, December and feeling like winter, which is typically a scary feeling for me, as I like not a huge winter lover, but I think moving my body is helping and I'm feeling positive. So I'm curious how you guys are feeling and how this moon is affecting you and what is present with you today. So feel free to pop some, just like a sentence or two in the comments and let me know what's present with you. And then we'll drop in together and kind of connect our energy and see what wants to come through for our messages this week. So thinking back to last week, it was before Thanksgiving. Our cards were really talking about, there was like a sense of disappointment. We kept pulling, Five of Cups was like our potential outcome for our inner realm. And for me, it made a lot of sense that it wasn't the typical Thanksgiving that we have had in the past. And so there could be some initial disappointment, like feeling like we're missing out, or it's not the same, or we're kind of feeling like we've lost something that we once had. But in my circumstance, having a much smaller and more intimate Thanksgiving, it ended up being one of the best Thanksgivings I've had in like a really long time. And I love my large family, but there's a lot of chaos, and I tend to emotionally eat and get stressed and then feel so depleted after with the big holidays. So this one ended up being like just what I needed, even though it was untraditional, and you could say like, you know, I'm sure a lot of people were feeling some disappointment and not being able to be with their larger families. So that kind of came to mind for me around the last week's reading. And another outcome that we were having was in our more external world, like the main Celtic cross, I think it was star reversed was our potential outcome. And I'm curious if you guys felt that, where there was maybe a bit of resistance to really trust and follow that light, which can be sometimes a harder task than we think it is, to follow the guidance and stick with the things that we're knowing in our hearts are really right for us, because it means surrendering the ego and all those things. So Maggie says, I'm feeling lighter this week and more motivated, driven. Today was a good day. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, today feels like a good day for me too. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I feel like there is a sense of lightness going around. That's awesome. Well, feel free to keep sharing how you guys are feeling, and we'll begin to drop in. Let me just wheel you guys over. I have you like on my little art cart here. Yeah, so find a comfortable spot, and you can go ahead and just close your eyes, and we'll drop in. And I'm just gonna ask that you place maybe a hand over your heart. You can blink the eyes closed. Take a couple nice deep breaths in and out. Trusting and knowing that you are exactly where you need to be right now. Letting go of anything that's nagging for your attention or pulling you away from really anchoring into your body right now. And just taking a nice deep breath. Just noticing what's going on under the surface. Are there some swirling thoughts? Maybe some judgments? Maybe a to-do list? And just allowing it to dissolve, like visualizing all those things that are in the mind dissolving, and just connecting to the feeling body, connecting to the physical realm, to the water realm. And here's where we open our hearts. So just imagining that your heart is like a rose that's softly, just gently blossoming open. It's just sending out this beautiful perfume to everyone else in the circle, and we're just connecting our hearts in this high vibration of love and trust. And in this space, I call on our angels, guides, benevolent ancestors, beings of light, ascended masters, plant devas, and animal spirits to be with us, to give clear guidance and messages for this week ahead. And we call those who will watch the replay into this circle as well. And I ask that my voice will be a vessel of truth and guidance for all those who need it, for each of our highest good and the highest good of all. And so it is. So taking a moment and gently blinking the eyes open as you feel ready, coming fully into this space, feeling safe and centered. I'm so excited to drop in with you guys. Yeah, feeling grounded myself. So, let's see. Kate says the full moon and the eclipse actually did not spin me around. Today is a great day. Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I feel like it's a more playful full moon. Like it didn't sneak up on me the way that, or excuse me, it did sneak up on me, but it didn't hit me the way that some of the former full moons can do. And Kiki says, I'm feeling pretty good today, productive, and have some extra brightness and love to give. That's awesome. Cool. I mean, no matter what we all are feeling today is awesome. It's just beautiful to be with it and honor it, whether it's, you know, quote unquote positive or negative, but it's cool that we're all feeling like a similar expansion too, because that's when we know that it's like, I don't know, kind of a collective shifting going on. So it's awesome. All right. So I do feel like I should light my candle, which I didn't do yet. Let me grab one of those real quick. This one is kind of out. Did everyone dance today? Angela says, yesterday was nuts for me. Interesting. You're so in tune. I'm kind of not surprised that you would experience that on a different level. Oh. Chelsea says, listening in while I work at the shop. So nice to be with y'all. Aw, I love that we're in your shop with you, Chelsea. That's so cool. Chelsea is in Buffalo. She has this amazing framing shop called 5 Points Framing, and the piece that's behind me, this is like an Alex Gray poster that I just let her have like free reign with however she wanted to create it. She framed that, and it's so beautiful. It's like perfect for our farmhouse vibe, and it was so cool because my husband and I, when we were first dating, there was one moment where we were standing in Lake Erie together. We were like out swimming, and we were probably about that height in the water, and we were just like hugging and looking around, and he turns to me and he's like, this is so crazy because we're both fire signs. He's like, all the elements feel like they're represented right now. You and I are the fire, and when surrounded by water, and the water is surrounded by earth, which is surrounded by air, which is surrounded by ether. And we were like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then like the next time we hung out, we went to Cosm together, and we saw this poster, and I was like, oh my God, that's literally the moment that we had. It just like felt like I expressed it so perfectly. So he like snuck over and bought that poster for me, which was so cute. And then of course we had to get it framed. So it was so perfect to have Chelsea create it into like a real piece of artwork for us to remember that moment too, which is so cool. I love synchronicities like that, you know? It's just so good. Okay. So, I'm getting my Palo Santo on the cards here. I've only been using this deck for the collective readings, and it feels like so juiced up and potent, but I do like to energetically, because I use it for like I have my own deck that I use for me as well. So I use this for my clients and just for the collective reading. So we'll just clear it just in case there's any density on it. Do you guys work with tarot? I'm curious if you clear your decks as well and what you do with them. I have so many, it's kind of like an addiction, but a really wonderful addiction in terms of, I guess as addictions go, it's not the worst. All right, I am gonna pull our weekly cards and then I'll flip you guys around so you can take a look. This is so bizarre. Okay. Interesting. Isn't it a cute story? Yeah. All right, here we are. So our anchor card, well, here, I'll let you guys kind of like take a quick peek at it. It's so funny because I started with king and king, and then it was knight and knight. And then I pulled the page here. I was like, if we get another page here, I'm going to laugh. We got the world, moving into world energy, and also chariot reversed. We've got a lot of major arcana. We've got a lot of kind of big energy going on. Cool. So our anchor card is the King of Wands. And kings are typically like a more masculine, more outward, external energy. And in the element of fire or wands, we have this sort of explosive, passionate, energetic energy. And for me, I'm really feeling this energy right now. It's kind of exactly what I'm processing in terms of being a leader, inspiring others to dance. I'm literally like sending that spark of energy to others. But is there any way that maybe you guys are in resistance to also being in that energy? Or are we in completion with that energy because it's showing up in reverse? So I think this is interesting. Maybe it's a time to, I really feel like it's such a time of releasing leadership in the formal sense of like one person leading the many, and it's time to really shift into like a collaborative leadership. And so I'm feeling like we're being asked to show up, to recognize that by tapping into our own energy, the things that inspire us, our internal fire, the things that turn us on and give us purpose, by doing that, we're naturally leaders. So maybe it's looking at leadership in a different way here. We don't have to all be, running programs or, working at jobs where we're the boss of someone, but rather spreading our leadership through spreading our passion in the world. So we're also being crossed by another king, so another like external outward energy, and this is the King of Coins. And this is bringing us into the physical realm. So whereas the King of Wands is really like our fire and our passion, this is a really grounded energy, and it's all about like being in our bodies, feeling the physical material plane. And I think so much energy gets wasted in worrying. So many of us are on our computers, on our tablets, on our phones, processing and thinking about things. And it's time to really come back into our bodies. And that really brings us into a form of leadership as well. Just being in our bodies, being in the physical realm, feeling safe enough to be present, that on its own is a form of leadership. That's like walking the talk. That is really living in the present. And when we do that, that's how we spark the fire. That's how we make change. So it seems like I'm a little confused why the sky is reversed, but I think it'll come a little bit clearer later because we have a ton of other reversals. So maybe that will help explain what is going on with this energy. So crowning us, we have the Knight of Cups, and he's reversed as well. So, and underneath this energy is the Knight of Wands, also reversed. So knights are all about movement and kind of swiftly shifting through things, and also depending on what suit we're in, they can represent kind of the speed at which we're moving through things. So if we're in resistance to moving through our passion, and that's underneath the situation, and we're in resistance to feeling our emotions and moving through the emotional realm, that's definitely going to cause some sort of resistance and blockage in terms of stepping into our leadership and inspiring others to do that. So in the past, we have to look at what's going on that's sort of causing this ripple effect. And we have the Page of Wands, which is like literally these cards kind of go in a row. We have like Page, Knight, we're just missing the Queen, and then we have the King of Wands. So it feels like so many of us have been shut down from the playful, childlike part of ourselves that we are having a hard time remembering how to even do that. Like, how do we have fun? How do we play? How do we start our fire back up? How do we tap into that energy? And you guys probably know because I have had it all over my social media, but with this dance challenge that I have going on, I am trying to get people to move their bodies and just have fun and put on music and dance every day. And some people are commenting that, it feels really strange. It feels really weird. And it's just uncomfortable at first. And I think that's part of this process, is that we've forgotten what it felt like to be these little kids who would just run around and play and didn't care about what we looked like. We cared about what it felt like, and we cared about having fun, and we cared about, you see this like little girl with her magic wand, and she's just like having the time of her life. And that's so hard, I think, for so many of us. So we, at some point, maybe someone told us we looked dumb, or maybe somebody told us like we couldn't dance, or maybe someone told us like, you're grown up now, you can't keep doing that. And so we're recognizing that we shut down this little being inside of us, and reawakening that person on this like bigger level where it's leadership, whether it's for others or for ourselves, it's a process. So we're recognizing that there's a lot of resistance, in terms of moving on all of these levels, and that's okay. So for those of you who are doing the dance, the King of Coins, I feel like can be a really great ally for us, as he's just like hanging out. Like, this guy looks like he knows who he is, and he's okay with it. He might not have the best body, he might not be the hottest, he's bald, whatever. But he looks like the kind of guy that just knows who he is and like has a gentle heart, and he would probably have fun kicking off some steam at a wedding. So he's kind of our ally for this week, to merge that like idealistic child inside of us who wants to run around and play with like what that means in the present. Like, how can we still have fun and love our bodies and find that security within ourselves? And I can see that all this resistance to movement is also gonna shift as we allow and as we move. We do have to face some of those old stories, and that can be frightening because we might look at some parts of ourselves that we've dismissed. But if we look deeper and we look beyond the judgment that we have about ourselves and maybe what someone else told us, like they told us when we were a kid, oh, you don't dance well, or you're moving dumb, or whatever it is that they said that was cruel and probably just their own judgment about themselves. As we face that stuff, I really feel that we are evolving. You know, the world is showing up here. The world is all about a sense of completion. And I mean, this girl looks comfortable in her body. She's just like laying back, tits out. She's like loving life. She just looks centered and confident. And obviously she has this balance as she's sitting on top of this ball that's like, could be rolling, but she's grounded, and she's like balanced. She's finding that balance on top of it. And I think that's what we're moving towards this week, which is a beautiful thing. But in order to do that, we need this this embodiment piece and kind of this trust in ourselves that it doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter at all. And it's beautiful to go into these places where we access some of these deeper feelings and some of these deeper passions, and the resistance to it is part of the process. You know, if we haven't gone into a room in our homes in a long time and we start to walk in that room, we're going to find, you know, some dust. We're going to find maybe some old things that we haven't, you know, furniture or belongings or things that we haven't touched in a long time. And as we walk through that room and begin to move around, it's going to take a little effort to begin to sweep it up. And it's one of those things, it always looks like a project, like a big kitchen full of dirty dishes. They always seem a little bit overwhelming, right? But then once you start to just jump in, you're like, okay, I'm going to stack up the dishes. I'm going to make a pile. I'm going to get one soapy, watery sink all set, and then just start to work through it. It's like that Mary Poppins energy. All of a sudden, the job can become a game, and it can become fun, and it feels good to have warm water on your hands. And all of a sudden, you feel satisfied with the work that you've put into it, as you feel maybe a sense of accomplishment. And suddenly, you have more useful things at your service. You have clean plates that then you can get creative with, and you can cook with, and then you can do all of these things. So, Angela, this is the Fountain Tarot. It's probably my favorite deck. It is so beautiful, and it's created by Jonathan, I always forget his last name, Rice, R-A-I-S, I think. I'll look it up for you after, but yeah, so I'm feeling that even though it might bring up some things, which is completely normal this week, if we invite ourselves to really move through it, I'm finding that we're going to feel so much better. You know, it's like, just jump, just do it. So we are seeing ourselves right now here as the Nine of Cups. And there's a sense of this emotional fulfillment. So many of us were saying that we're feeling kind of like a lightness and a satisfaction after yesterday's full moon, which feels good. There's sort of, we've maybe conquered something or worked through something, and we have something to show for it. You know, this guy is surrounded by, sometimes it's like trophies. These look like sound bowls. Maybe he just finished like a sound healing yoga class and he's just feeling all vibed out. So we are feeling this sense, and others are seeing us in resistance to the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is showing up reversed here, and this is, you can see how determined this guy is. This card is kind of like some obstacles are coming up against us, and we are not going to let them stop us. You see this guy is kind of like knocking down the wands and making his way down to where he wants to go. But there's a resistance to this, as we see it in reverse. So others are maybe seeing us as in resistance to really standing up for what we believe is true, and for really like being willing to knock down some of those walls that are in the way. And others can see us from the outside, and we can see ourselves from the inside, and both are completely valid. It's just different perspectives. But it's interesting to notice, because others do have that external view, you know, is there something that we are not fighting for? And is there something worth fighting for at this point? And how are we maybe not showing up to or willing to really fight to kind of crash that old paradigm and do our part and speak our truth and share how we really feel about things and stand up for others and really call people out. So I'll just leave that with you guys for that one. Our hopes and fears card, we have the Empress, and again, she's reversed. So our hope here is to be in our bodies, to be this beautiful goddess connected to nature, connected to fertility, connected to creation. I think of this as like really a feminine creature who is so in touch with the earth that, you know, they feel the energy of the sun rising, and they're smelling the snow in the air, and they are so grateful for each moment, just to have their lungs filled with the fresh, cool air of the winter. And so that is our hope. And also we can be scared of this energy. We can be in reverse to her. When we are scared to be in our bodies. And this happens over time when we experience trauma. Often we have a feeling come up that is scary or unwelcome or uncomfortable. And in order to literally keep going and function, our bodies kind of sever that part of ourselves from the feeling body, and we move on without that part intact. And if we continue to process in that way, we leave behind really valuable parts of ourselves because we're scared to feel and go into some of those places. So what I'm feeling for this week overall is that there's some resistance coming up to really being in the body, and just letting you guys know that that's okay. That it's okay to recognize and honor that the resistance is there. It doesn't mean we have to force it down and like push through it, even though others might think that we need to. But the first step is just recognizing what we're coming up against. And, you know, the Empress is a gentle energy. She doesn't need you to jump in all at once. She might encourage you to take little baby steps and begin to feel your way into what actually feels good to you, and begin to, you know, we talked about that room that you haven't been in a while. Maybe she just wants you to peek through the hole in the door first, and just sort of look through the keyhole and just begin to take steps. So yes, Angela says lots of resistance in this reading. The release of this cycle is going to be unbelievable. Hell yeah. I feel this so strongly. Yeah, and our potential outcome card is Chariot reversed. So we're, in some ways I'm feeling like, let's go, let's like blast off. But even then we're in resistance to really like jumping right into the momentum. So it's okay. It's okay that this is here. There is a lot of resistance. And what do we do with resistance? We don't beat it up and tell ourselves we're bad for being in resistance, because that's probably just going to make us shut down more. What I would recommend is a more gentle approach with the Empress as your ally, and the King of Coins as our ally. Really knowing that you're okay and you're perfect just as you are. First of all, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing you need to fix. But if you want to go into some of those rooms and expand the possibilities of your amazing space vehicle that you're living in, then what do? We begin to take little baby steps. And so that might mean for you putting on some music and giving yourself 20 minutes to just be with your body and just breathe. And that might scare the hell out of you. And for a lot of people that genuinely does. Like, some people are going so fast that having that slowness by themselves is genuinely terrifying. And we go back to some of the trauma responses. That could be someone else's way of just coping and responding to some of the things that were really scary and really overwhelming. So Maya says, I'm feeling a resistance too around being in my body and doing it right. Oh my gosh, this is such a good point to bring up. There's no right or no wrong. When it comes to being in our bodies in terms of like dance or movement, it can feel like, oh, I'm supposed to like get to a climax, or I'm not working hard enough, or I need to be doing more. And these are the same stories that we tell ourselves in day-to-day life as well, right? They can like parallel the things that we experience on the dance floor often are the same blocks and resistances that we have in our own lives. So I'll just ask us all to be open-minded to this journey as sort of an opportunity to just witness and observe with a loving compassion for ourselves before judging that it's right or wrong. It just is. Some of these patterns, like for me, I notice like patterns of certain flexibility on one side and not on the other, and I just notice like that's interesting. Or certain ways that I like to move or I don't move, or I watch other dancers and I often think like, wow, I wish that I had the techniques and toolbox and like amazing things that they do. But it doesn't mean that they're better than me. It just means that we move in different ways, and we all have our own unique ways of exploring and moving with what is, and none is more beautiful or right or wrong than another's. But by witnessing, we can begin to like unpack and explore and maybe expand the possibilities of what we can feel as humans on the earth at this time, and sort of explore moving in all the different realms, because it's not just the physical realm that we're moving, right? We're dancing with the physical body, but we're also dancing with our emotions and our hearts and our passion and our love and all these things. So Angela says, it feels like we're collectively using this resistance to achieve a greater goal, to point the flow of energy in a specific direction. Oh my God, I love that insight. Yes. Yeah. I wonder, where do we want the energy to go? I guess that's the question. Yeah, maybe, I had this visual yesterday. I sat down and I meditated for the first time in like months. And I I really only did it because I felt like there was nowhere else to go. I was feeling so frustrated and feeling overwhelmed. And as I surrendered and just kind of sat, I was like, I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes because I don't want to sleep. I don't want to eat. I don't want anything else. I'm just going to be. And of course, as I just sat there, suddenly I felt like some of the tension just began to melt away, and I started tearing up, and I just had this realization that I missed myself. And I had this this vision, which reminds me so much of the Page of Wands that I pulled reversed. But it was this part of me as a little girl who shut down parts of herself because of others' judgments. And then I also realized I felt horrible for every other person that's ever felt judged or that I've judged, because, not horrible, but I realized, wow, I'm only judging them because a part of me feels just as hurt, as like it's a similar resonance of the same pain that we have experienced. And so I'm able to see it on the outside, and I don't like it, so I'm judging it on the outside, but I don't like it on the inside, if that makes any sense. But basically I saw all these faces, and I just had such a deep compassion for the human experience, because we don't have the bigger picture. Like Angela's saying, we can't even see the bigger picture, but we are a part of it. And so much of this time, I think what keeps coming up in the readings is like surrender and follow spirit. You know, we had the star in reverse last time, and we were in resistance to really trusting that. And this time it feels like more resistance to some movement in terms of really honoring our passions and bringing this childlike energy back to play and being in our bodies. The embodiment piece feels really big this time. But maybe we are still afraid to move because we aren't sure what we're moving towards, you know? So I'll just say that it's not about any kind of end goal. And to kind of come back to your question or comment, Maya, there is no right. It's just genuinely like playing. That what feels good to you? Are you enjoying it? Is it fun? And sometimes it feels good to be really sad. Sometimes it feels good to get into some of those really painful, tight areas and just breathe and just feel it. Sometimes it feels really good to like scream into a pillow or like jump up and down really hard and like let out some anger and just feel the things. Because it's not about it looking any kind of way or being right or wrong, but it is about just being with it. And I think as we are with ourselves this next week, we're going to find a lot of sort of the perspective and the solutions and the completion that we're seeking. And I think you're absolutely right, Angela. I love that you're here kind of sharing the insights. Yeah, and please, if you guys ever have like insights, it's so helpful. I really want this to be a collective experience, and it's more fun for me when we can all kind of share what we're thinking and what's coming up for you guys too, because it helps me to understand it too. Sometimes it is dense and complex, and it helps to have you guys share your reflections. So cool. So that's our reading for the week. It's interesting. Be happy to do some individual polls if you would like a card pulled for you this week. Just post a little comment in the message box and I will pull a card for you. I'm going to grab a sip of tea and I will be right back. Yeah. Kiki. Angela, you're so sweet. Thank you. Yay. Okay, cool. Cards for everyone. All right. So pulling a card for Kiki for her highest good and the highest good of all. We got the Devil card, and I know there's a lot of resistance that can come up to getting this one, but it's actually a really beautiful ally. The Devil card is here to free us. We are bound and chained in some way, and the Devil is showing us where our chains are. And he's saying, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, what was that movie? Natalie Portman, and then the guy with the mask, and then you guys know what I'm talking about. A something. Someone help me out here. Okay, well, there's this scene in this great movie. It's something like A for something, and the one guy, V for Vendetta. That's what it is. I'm like, it's some letter. Someone help me out. Vendetta. So like, yes, that was it. I don't want to give away the story too much, but maybe you should watch, if you haven't seen that movie, I would recommend watching that movie. But basically there's a whole thing about being feeling like you're a prisoner of the world, and feeling like you're stuck, but actually sometimes it's your experience of having the chains on us that teaches us to appreciate and embrace our freedom and teaches us how to truly be free. So the Devil is showing up to show you how to find freedom by showing you where the chains are and telling you that you don't need to wear them anymore and you're safe to walk out. It's kind of a strange card, so I hope that makes sense to you. But there are two people here, and there's a lot of sort of a sense of duality and not seeing the whole. I feel like you probably already know what this means for you, but if you have any questions, shoot me a message, and I still want to have like a tea date with you and hang out and catch up. So Maggie on the movie credits, yes. All right, Maggie, I will pull a card for you as well. I'm like, A is for Avatar. What is that movie? Oh Lord. Okay. You are welcome. All right, pulling a card for Maggie for her highest good and the highest good of all. Maggie, you got a Death card reversed. So many lovely cards coming up for you guys today. Don't hate me. So when Death comes up, it's time for an ending. And when it's in reverse, we are in resistance to something ending. This could be in terms of, you keep getting that one, interesting. So that's telling you that something is ready to go. And it could be job. It could be in terms of like a small thing in your life that's just like a pattern that's been showing up for a long time, and you're ready to just like, it's just time to let it go. And death, you know, our culture is so afraid of death and letting things go because we feel like we had it and it was ours and it shouldn't end and it's bad, but it actually is beautiful to release something to death and let it transition into what the next right thing is for that energy. So I feel like for you, this is in terms of more like career stuff, because I know what you've been considering doing. So I feel like I'm just going to throw that out there. The universe is like, don't be in resistance. It's like, go for it. But sometimes you have to let the one thing go before you can do the next thing. So, yeah. All right. Who else was... Oh, Mariah. Hi, Mariah. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. I don't know if this is your first tune-up. And Jean, hello, dear. Welcome to the Tuesday tune-up. Jean, if you want a card, I'm pulling individual cards for folks too, so let me know. Okay, so pulling a card for Mariah for her highest good and the highest good of all. Oh, we got the Six of Cups. This is a really sweet card too. So Six of Cups is kind of like going back to rekindle a memory and having a reflection with like a dear friend. You see these two, I think they're two women, or it could be like a girl and a boy, and they're sharing a cup. It almost looks like they're sharing like a cup of tea here or a drink together, and kind of reminiscing and tapping into maybe an older time when things were a little easier, or just seemingly easier, because we always have our challenges no matter what we're faced with. When we always look back at different time periods. Oh, if only I could have lived in the 20s or whatever. It's like, well, the 20s have their fucking problems too. So not to be too idealistic, but to look back at like a sweeter time in your own life, maybe like to have a conversation with a family member or a friend who knew you way back when, and to kind of give you some hope and insight as you're moving forward. And I know that you're getting ready to have a baby, so I feel like for you, this one, having a conversation with your mom or like your aunts or other women in your life as you're preparing, like at this time, to go through one of the greatest kind of initiations. I think it's going to be really tender for you to hear stories about what it was like when you were born and as a child and all those things. So having some, or it could just be having some like sweet time for yourself to slow down and be held by a friend and have some time to reflect and honor all the things that you're feeling and processing right now. So sending you big love, sending you guys all love. I'm so happy you're here. I wish I could like hang out with you guys in person or like see all your faces, because I feel like I just laugh at my own jokes and just sit here alone commenting, but I can sort of feel you guys. Aww. Alright, does anyone else want a card? Gayatri, Jean, Angela? What's going on, y'all? Still have like 5 more minutes. Oh my god, let's do a craft night. I would love that. I started to knit, and then I realized I got knitting needles that were like way too small, and the yarn was really small, so it was taking me like forever to do a square like this big. So I think I'm gonna make a blanket for my cat, and then I'm just gonna get some better yarn. But yeah, that would be awesome. Oh my god, I love you guys all so much. Okay, let's see here. Alright, Gayatri first, and then I'll pull some more for y'all. Okay, pulling a card for Gayatri for her highest good and the highest good of all. Got the 10 of coins. This is like a baller card. 10 of coins is like kind of like you're harvesting all the things and gathering up the goods, like kind of like it's like payday. You're like, woo, like gathering all the things, and then it's like, okay, before I just go out and spend this all, what do I actually want to put this energy into? And we see this card come up like after harvest time. It's like sometimes maybe we get paid in terms of money, maybe we get paid in terms of like other things that people are giving us. Some of us we want to keep, some of it we want to transform, some of it we want to give away. So it's kind of asking you to take stock and assess all the abundance that you have right now, and notice how much you have received and how worthy you are receiving, and then take a moment to kind of assess what to get rid of, what to keep, and then kind of plan for like, okay, what's the next phase? You know, what's the next thing? All right. And then Rebecca wants cards. Pulling a card for Rebecca. For her highest good and the highest good of all. Rebecca, you got the Four of Cups. And this is such an interesting one because I just heard a podcast, my favorite tarot podcast, with Lindsay and the Wild Soul Healing. And she was talking about how often this card, and typically this is how I would have interpreted it in the past, is seen as like someone has spilled their 3 cups and they're kind of disappointed, and the universe is giving them this other cup and they aren't like appreciating it, or they aren't taking it. But I think I might have to send you the podcast, but she basically said like, it's actually, no, I'm totally blanking. I think the point of it was that it's not a problem to be having some of the disappointment, and you can't miss it. Like if the universe is giving you that other cup that is full of water, there's no way that you can miss that opportunity. So trust in the timing, and trust in the healing process, and trust that the cups will get filled when the timing is right. And she talks about the fours, so interestingly, she talks about them all as like a table. And the fours, it's like the 4 legs of a table. And, you know, when you're a kid and you like go underneath a table, you're kind of taking some time to reset, or like animals go under a table and they kind of want some space and they kind of want some like alone, and they feel safe in there. So the fours, each have sort of a flavor of that, like a resting period. And in the cups, in the element of water, it's sort of like an emotional tent or hideout that you're creating. So like imagining that you're crawling under that table as a little kid, and you're having like, you know, a cup of tea, and you're maybe just needing some time to just cry or just feel. And knowing that even though there's other cups out there for you and there's new stuff coming, like taking time to just be with what is, and then the universe will give you what you need next. But it's okay to slow down. So that is the message for you with the 4 of Cups, sweet one. Oh, I was like, kitty blanket, what is she talking about? The little thing I'm gonna knit for my cat. I love it. Oh, Kate, I will happily pull a card for you. Not that I unhappily pull cards for anyone, but sometimes I hear myself and I'm just saying the same things over, and try my best to be present here. It's hard when there's a camera staring right back at you, or like a reflection. I don't know if you guys ever do Instagram lives, but sometimes it's like a bit of a trip, because like I know you guys are listening, but mostly I'm just sitting here talking to myself, and it's like, it's a little weird sometimes. Oh Lord. Okay, 2020 problems. Been alone too long. Okay, so pulling a card for Kate for her highest good and the highest good of all. Kate, you got the Knight of Cups reversed, which was on top of it was like crowning our situation today. And so it feels like there's some resistance to moving into the emotional realms. And I feel like this is coming up so much for all of us collectively. That last card reflected it, the resistance to the death, the devil card, like all these things are kind of like running into a wall, and we're like, oh my God, can I keep going? And it's okay to take a pause. Sometimes we don't need to break down the wall or like run right through it. Sometimes a sacred pause is actually what's called for. So here we see this guy, another knight, all about movement, all about like moving through the emotions, but being resistance and reverse, to maybe taking a break, if you've been kind of processing a lot emotionally, knowing that there's a more gentle way to maybe do it, and maybe there's a different route to processing the emotions. And I know you're doing the dance stuff, so I'm curious to see, how you can nurture yourself and be gentle with moving the body and honoring the stuff that starts to come up, maybe some of the resistance, and just be loving and compassionate with yourself through that. So that card is for you. All right. Anyone else want a card pulled for them? Timing is everything. I love it. Well, I think we're just about, you're very welcome, just about wrapping up. It is 9:02, so I might call it a night. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. I tend to forget to close the circle, so I typically do it when I get off live, but I'll just close the circle with you guys while we're here together. So if you want to close your eyes and just take a moment, we'll send gratitude to all of the individuals who were live today, and to all those who will watch the replay. And I'll just send gratitude to my higher self and to all of my guides, angels, guardians, ancestors, beings of light, ascended masters, plant devas, and animal spirits. Thank you for continuing to guide us weekly with these insights, and please continue to bring us greater clarity as we process some of this resistance and move into a sense of completion with this cycle. We ask that for each of our highest good and the highest good of all. And so it is. Oh, I love you, Maya. I love you all. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.